Oh, yeah, that's the pole wagon. That's the most important wagon in the circus. Because they can put on the show, if they had the pole wagon and the tent is torn to ribbons, they still can put on a program because the aerial acts are all suspended from the poles. And when we were kids in the circus, working at the circus, we had legal experts among us who knew nothing, but they said if you have an argument with the circus, you want to sue them, attach the pole wagon. They can't operate if they don't have the pole wagon. Attach the pole wagon.
Uh-huh. Talk about your days in the circus. How did it start?
It started, I guess you could say, when I was a gymnast in high school. And, oh crap. And when I graduated in January 1935, I went out looking for a job. Couldn't find a job, and actually I was kind of enjoying myself. Could go to New York for 6 cents or a nickel or whatever.
Do you want to sit down?
Huh?
Do you want to sit down and do this?
I don't know. Well, if I get too comfortable.
We won't let that happen.
I was clearing up stuff here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so actually I was supposedly looking for a job. I wanted to be an office boy. I went to New York looking for jobs. And it was fun going to New York. I had a lot of fun adventures. And didn't accomplish anything like finding a job. And somehow I wasn't really serious. I was enjoying myself. I didn't have any money. I think my father must have given me a few nickels at one time or another for transportation. He didn't push me, wasn't hard on me at all. But then, in early part of summer, a circus came to town, Gorman Brothers Circus, and Jersey City was a good stay for them. They had packed houses. And all of a sudden I decided, well, we had a talk with another gymnast, and we decided to both go find out where Gorman Brothers were going to be by the time we were thinking of joining it, working on props. And so we found it and hitchhiked there somewhere in New Jersey. And we went looking for work, and the first thing they did was feed us. They gave us a meal. Strangers. We could have been nothing but hobos passing by. And so I was comfortable staying there. And I think we slept that night in a truck with canvas, sleeping on bales of canvas. But then my friend, he was not happy, he was not comfortable. And during the night he said he's going to have to leave, he can't stand this. His father was a real estate operator, and maybe he wasn't really pressed for money. So he disappeared, but I stayed with it. And then, I guess 2 months, 3 months, and business was bad. And August the 9th, they folded up in Erie, Pennsylvania. Folded, closed the show, wanted to go back. And paid out a couple dollars to each one of us. And I said, is that all I get? He said, oh, you got more than any of the others because they put in a good word for me. Yeah, oh Christ, there was the main acts of the show was Ernie Clark, flying trapeze artist, and he was top notch. He was old there and bald, wore a silver hat, and I think he was the first man to do a triple somersault from England. He was from England, and there was another family there. Poodles Hannaford was a top quality riding act too. They were both Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey acts, top notch. And later I had the idea, they must have put the money into this thing, those two main acts, because the rest of the show didn't amount to all that much. Okay. How much of this can you stand?
We've got 5 minutes. We've got all the time in the world.
So anyway, they offered to take me back to New Jersey. And I said, I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to look for another circus. I was enjoying myself. And I hitchhiked to where they had the billboard magazine.
What was a typical day like in the circus?
What's a tip? What?
That you just left. What was it like? You start up in the morning. What time and what'd you do? And
I really don't have clear memory too much. It was all work, probably until the show started. And there was some work during the show, setting up different props for different acts. And then between shows, it was rest time. Didn't have to do much. And then during the night show, it was work. Not terribly hard work. And I don't really remember actually doing a whole lot of work. And then after that, I don't know, did we climb back on canvas piles? That was the only place that I ever had to sleep. There were no sleeping quarters for the workers. Oh, the performers, they had little house trailers, cars pulling house trailers. But then I also kept track of the Billboard magazine, which I was familiar with, which gives circus routes. They printed where the circus, there were a lot of circuses at that time. And Tom Mix was somewhere in the Midwest. And somehow I wasn't backward or scared of hitchhiking anywhere. And so I found Tom Mix Circus and got hired on props work. And Tom Mix Circus was a first-class circus, top-notch. The best that money could buy. Absolutely first-class, marvelous. And let's see, I don't think I had any place to sleep there either. I don't remember actually sleeping there. So I guess I must have been on a pile of canvas somewhere. And what the heck, I kind of enjoyed my experience there. Let me see.
do they have animals in the Tom Mix Circus?
The animals? Yes, they had a menagerie. I don't remember what animals they might have had there. I don't remember that at all. But they had horse acts, riding acts. There was one act that was an imitation of the big act that was with the Gorman Brothers Circus. What the heck was the guy's name? Poodle's Hannaford act. Poodle's Hannaford. It was an imitation of his act. And Homer Hobson, it was the Hobson riding act. He did his imitation of Poodle's Hannaford. And they had a good double flying act between in the middle ring. They had a double rigging set up where one act was going in this direction, the other act was going in the opposite direction. 2 sets of flyers, 2 sets of catches. It was very good. They were top quality. Everything about Tom Mix Circus was top quality. And he had a big bus that he used to drive in. And he drove it. I understand that he drove it himself. And a few years later, he got killed. I don't know whether driving his bus or something like that. So he didn't last too long after that.
No, I understand he died in a car crash where the luggage came and smacked him in the head after he came to a screeching stop. He crashed the car and got...
Yeah, and I had another point there. what the hell was my point? Had a point popping into my mind.
Driving the bus?
Huh?
Driving the bus?
No, I don't. No, it wasn't driving the bus. What the hell was my point?
Well, did you ever meet Tom Mix? You ever have a conversation with Tom Mix?
No, he didn't communicate with lesser people at all. He only communicated with superior people. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. What the hell? I get my eras confused. But at one time, a great aerialist, a great flying trapeze artist, got a job with Tom Mix as an equestrian director. That means manager of the show. And he was a fine guy, and he was probably the world's greatest flying trapeze artist, probably the greatest. He was spectacular, and I saw him work at the Madison Square Garden when my father took us to the circuses there. It was absolutely great, and of course, at being gymnasts, we admired this kind of stuff. But my point was, he talked to us. He had no class superiority at all. I'm completely different from Tom Mix, and he gave us advice on marriage and all that stuff. The following year, his wife died, and he remarried to a lady aerialist. The following year, he shot and killed his wife and himself. The following year. He gave us advice on marriage. Yes. Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of stories. Well, of course, he had to stop this aerial trapeze work because he injured his shoulder, could no longer work at it.
When did you leave the circus? When did you leave the circus, and why?
When did I leave that circus?
Well, okay, yeah, that circus.
Well, I stayed with circuses for several years, 4 years, 5 years. And that one, I left. I was working props, and they had an assistant prop boss. We had to set up this aerial rigging, trapeze rigging. And he dropped it on my back. The heavy thing crippled me. I had two difficulties with the Tom Mix circus. One was I had a breakbone fever and I couldn't work, and finally they told me to leave.
Breakbone fever?
Breakbone fever, yeah, that's dengue fever. Dengue fever. It's in the south. They call it breakbone fever, and you feel like all your bones are breaking. Anyway, when they told me to leave, I guess I was able to eat there and sleep under the wagons when I wanted, until they got tired of it and didn't want to support me anymore. And then I went. Somehow I must have recovered. I'm getting my stories confused quite a bit here. That's not too factual anymore. Anyway, I found Cole Brothers Circus, which was a brand new railroad circus. That was 1935. They started out brand new, everything top notch, with two great owners and operators. And they had Clyde Beatty, animal trainer, lions and tigers. And I got hired on. I must have somewhere between Tom Mix and finding The cold brothers, my my ailments disappeared. Whenever I get ailments, they usually disappear fairly quick. So I got hired there, and there, for the first time, I had a bunk to sleep in. They had two people wide bunks, two workers to a bunk. Just barely room for two workers. And so I had a place to sleep for the first time in my circus history. And what I don't recall I had to work too hard. I did my share of work, and work never bothered me. Oh yeah, a big part of the props job was to empty all the performers' trunks out of the wagons and line them up in the performers' dressing tent. There was one big dressing tent, ladies on one side with a canvas wall, men on the other side. And all the trunks had to be in the same place every time. And so everything was familiar. When they come into their dressing tent, they knew where everything was. Yeah, and emptying and carrying the trunks out, two guys to a trunk, and we had to run, get them into position. I guess somebody was telling us where to drop them. And of course at night, every night, we had to do the same thing backwards, put them back into the truck wagon. And for me, it was a wonderful treat. I saw Clyde Beatty work with his lions and tigers. I think 24 lions and tigers. And nobody's done that since, I don't believe. And he might have done even more at some time or other. And I'm not positive about my number of 24 now either, but it was a big number. And he was great. He was a great performer. He was a showman. And of course, these animals, they're not tame by any means. They're killers if they get a chance. And that brings me up to another story. At a different year, that was 1935, I went back to them in 1936. Maybe it was 1936. Well, anyway, it's maybe 37. I was back again, working whatever. Anyway, at one town in Missouri, during Clyde Beatty's act, a lion and tiger got into a fight, a real deathly fight. And they did everything to stop the fight, but Clyde got out of the cage quick, very quick, and he had people with rifles there in case it was necessary to shoot an animal. But I watched that fight go on, and people were saying, oh, the tiger will win. And how it ended was the tiger got killed, the lion completely twisted him around so his front legs were facing one way, back legs were the other way. The lion killed the tiger. And so Clyde lost a tiger, and I don't think that lion was ever allowed in the act again because he had a taste of blood. That was bad. And these were real animals. Whatever. So I saw that. I had some marvelous experiences. And just watching people work. And